Good morning and Zhao Shanghao on this lovely, warm and sunny Inner Mongolian day. And I'm currently standing in front of Hohhot's super modern Eastern Railway station. Now at the moment, this is pretty much the eastern edge of the city centre of Hohhot. Between here and the airport further east, there's little more than a few villages. That said, Hohhot is a city that's growing rapidly, particularly out to the east. So much so, in fact, that expansion of Baita Airport in the east is no longer viable, and a new airport's being built down in the south in Hulin. So this means that these villages between the airport and the railway station, really their days are numbered. You know, progress stops for no one. So it's a beautiful day, perfect weather to jump on a rental bike and go and check out these villages while we can. So come with me. Well, we've got our bike and we're ready to explore, and almost instantly my point about development in the east is proven with this monster of a building under construction. I have no idea what it is, but whatever it is, it's big, and it wasn't here when I first moved here, so perhaps the best place to come to really show the growing east of Hohhot is not a village at all, at least not anymore. This is Dong'an, or East Shore, and in fact it's where I work, and I don't think anywhere else in Hohhot really captures that modern China. You know, tree-lined boulevards, big wide roads. We've got regional headquarters of every major bank and every major Chinese company. We've got plenty of new governmental buildings built. But I have friends who, when they moved to Hohhot, the idea of any development on the east side of the river would have been crazy. This has only been here for no more than, you know, 6 or 7 years. And now it's a major bustling hub of commerce, you know? And this was just a village, like the villages we're about to go to. But for me, the most interesting thing about Dong'an is not the high rises of glass and steel. It's the fact that literally 2 minutes away on a bike is this Houbutaqi, a vibrant traditional market town. 2 minutes away, and yet a world away. I don't think there's many places in the world that you can see this juxtaposition so clearly. You know, Dong'an is still within sight, and yet here we are in a traditional market town. We've got street sellers selling fruit and meat from carts. We've got key cutters, cobblers. It's incredible. And literally 2 minute walk away is, you know, the headquarters of banks and governmental buildings. It's crazy, but I love it. Let's have a look around Houbutaqi. The name Houbutaqi is actually a Mandarin transliteration of the Mongolian word for the bushes that used to grow in this area. And I think that's a fittingly charming name for a charming village. And I think charm is the right term. I get that the organized chaos of a village like this would not be for everyone, but it's hard to deny there is a certain charm seeing the street vendors, you know, vying for your attention. It's a world away from the faceless corporations and shop fronts in the city, when commerce has a certain humanity to it. And I love it, and I really hope that we still have villages like this in the future. And to be honest, I'm not too concerned about Houbutaqi. I think there's enough going on here, there's enough people, there's enough commerce. There's no reason to really develop this area. Now, some of the villages I may take you to today may not quite fall into that category, but Houbutaqi is really bustling and exciting, and I love it here. It's great to get. It always sounds crazy because it's so loud and so much is going on, but the chaos is different to the chaos you get in a city or in Dong'an, where it's people in suits and ties in these huge buildings. So yeah, we could just buy all sorts of street food, fruit and veg, and you know, the people are friendly. There's old people sat together playing Chinese chess or mahjong in the street in the sun. And there's a real community spirit here as well. The only difficulty I have in villages like this is my regional Chinese is not that great. My Putonghua is not that great, but my my regional Chinese is really poor. So everybody wants to talk, and I want to talk to them, but I just can't because in villages the accents are very strong, like anywhere you go really. It's such a pity. I need to work on that. Well, I've caused enough of a stir with the locals here in Houbutaqi, as I desperately attempted to speak to them in my extremely broken Hohhot dialect Chinese. So, let's check out another village and cause a stir somewhere else, why don't we? While Houbutaqi may be an outlier as a vibrant market village, its neighbour, Shilandai, is much more akin to many of the villages I've seen in Inner Mongolia. And these are the kind of villages that I think the days are numbered, to be honest with you. And you know, I've got mixed feelings about that, and I'll speak more about it later. Shilandai, more so than really any village I've been to, feels like one that's really on its way out. It's a village of true juxtaposition. Just behind me is a station of the modern Hohhot metro, and just down this road is the airport. And right in the middle of that is this, still a traditional village, which gets quieter and quieter every time I come here. And I think the real reason for that is this is a village that was built on farming. And as the city grows closer and easier to get to, the locals would much rather work in the city where they will earn higher wages. So eventually the farms get abandoned and the work dries up and people move away. And that's a story we see in villages, not just across China, but across the world. And I think it would be easy for me as an outsider to bemoan that loss of a way of life. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna go home after this to an apartment that's built on a former farming village. And again, that's not just a China thing, you know. The likelihood is you either live in a village or in a former village. And the locals, they get a good payoff when these companies buy up this land to develop, and they have more money than they could ever dream of. And who am I to criticize that or to bemoan that, you know? Why don't these people deserve to, you know, be wealthy and happy? So I always have mixed feelings when I come somewhere like Shilandai, but it's certainly got almost an eeriness knowing that this village will soon no longer be here, or at least not in its current form anyway. My DD bike is having a workout today, I'm telling you. I don't think this city boy is used to trudging through the mud like this. But he's doing well. Just a few more to go. Well, let's say goodbye to Shilandai for now. Hopefully not for the last time. Anyway, let's carry our journey on east into our next village. But first, we need to stop and grab some fuel. So we've got a couple of oranges from probably the friendliest street vendors in the whole of Inner Mongolia, who always make an effort to all gather around and say hello to me every time I ride past. And from my favourite street vendors onto possibly one of my favourite villages for one specific feature of it, and I'll show you it. We're on the road to Dachangkulun. Let's go check it out. Dachangkulun, for the most part, is a pretty run-of-the-mill Inner Mongolian village. 1- and 2-story buildings, not so many people about, surrounded by farms, the occasional stray dogs and cats. But there's one thing that makes this village stand out to all the others for me, and it's what's at the end of this street. Let me show you. This right here is Hohhot International Airport. People live in these houses here, and this is the runway for the international airport. Honestly, it blows my mind. I don't think I've ever seen an airport this close to housing. I mean, look. People complain about the noise at Manchester Airport or Heathrow. Can you imagine living in this house with the airport runway there, no more than 400 meters away from your bedroom? And I assure you, there's no double glazing here. It's crazy, man. Imagine trying to sleep. I guess you must get used to it. Imagine hanging your washing out and seeing that. Great if you're a plane spotter, I suppose. Otherwise, I'm not sure how keen you would be about hearing that every 10 minutes or so. But anyway, it's definitely unique. Like almost any Inner Mongolian village, Dachangkulun is surrounded by burial mounds and memorial mounds for the elders who used to live in this village and passed away. But seldom do you see a village where the mounds are so contrasted with modernity. Really is rare to see such a contrast between traditional Mongolia And that really sums up Hohhot's east, you know? I would love to get a local's take on the airport noise, whether they just get used to it or if it's a daily annoyance. But unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be many about, and some form of warning played over the tannoy around the airport while I was filming, so I think it's probably best we move on to our final village. You know, 9/10 of the time, this is a pretty tranquil village until a big jet goes rumbling over you.
美国人你啥？
英国人。
会说汉语吗？
哎，我的汉语说不好，一点点。
多年来这儿？
啊，这个多少？谢谢。
可能美国人来中国也多了。
不是美国，英国人。
英国人。
对，再见啊，谢谢。Right, well that's as far east as we're going to go today, or we'll just end up in Baita and Bayan, where I've already taken you before. So we're going to head back towards civilization, but there's just one more village I want to stop off at. We spoke about Shilandai probably being on its last legs, but this village I'm heading to has already started the transformation of becoming part of the city. Sorry, I just got distracted by some sheep. Yeah, so the village is already starting to have its residents moved out, or you know, paid off by whichever company want to develop the area. So I'll show you what that looks like and then head back. Hello. As we head back west towards the city proper, heading back through Houbutaqi, and it's going to be interesting to see the contrast between Houbutaqi, the selling village, which probably benefited from the general populace moving closer to it, and Qianbutaqi, where we're heading next, which is a growing village, a farming village like Shilandai. Both are as close to the city as each other. Both are almost twins in a sense. One grows and one sells. And yet both have vastly different fortunes at the moment. Much like its neighbour, Houbutaqi, Qianbutaqi is boxed in by new development. Just over the road is the brand new Hohhot Technology Innovation Centre. And even further up is actually the headquarters for Inner Mongolia, for the CCP, for the party. But unlike Houbutaqi, this village has not seen any benefit from having the populace moving closer, because this is a growing village and there's no real benefit to farmers on having more and more people closer to the farms. And this is what happens. I've already taken quite a beating on my rental bike with no suspension. And this village is not going to help. But we'll take a look around and see a village on its final days. The final days of the village of Qianbutaqi. With fewer farms for people to work on, there's less reason for people to stay here. So they move to where the work is. And you end up with these near abandoned villages that are perfect for redevelopment, especially being so close to a city. And at risk of sounding like a broken record, it's not necessarily a bad thing, nor is it necessarily a good thing. It's just a thing, you know? With these new developments comes opportunity for work, even for the local people. While they might not get jobs as bankers or businessmen, development always requires low-skilled workers who will probably earn much closer to a middle-class wage than they ever would as a farmer. So then we end up with villages in limbo, like this one, which is just prime for buying up and redeveloping. And the cycle goes on, and development marches forward. As somebody who, as a child, was moved out of a house for development, I can empathise with the people who don't want to go, you know, who are happy living this traditional way of life in the village that they were probably born in. I understand that and I do empathise. But also, as somebody who loves cities, I also understand the need for development. And these villages are right on the edge of a modern city that's not going to stop growing, and it's always going to be a tricky subject, you know. Not even necessarily just talking about the removal of whole villages, but even down to things like gentrification is always going to be a sticky subject, and not one that I have an answer to, you know. I don't think it's my place to necessarily tell you what I think you should think, because we're all going to think differently depending on our own background. But all I can do is show you the reality of, well, 4 villages on the outskirts of Hohhot. 4 villages with vastly different cultures and vastly different current situations. And who knows what the future holds for them. There are still people here in Qianbutaqi, still holding out and still persevering. And who knows if they will go? You know, maybe not. But anyway, it's a constant march of progress, and it's never gonna please everyone. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you all soon. Zaijian from Hohhot. Tell you what, this has been the real star of the show today. These bikes are not designed for off-roading, and it's done well. It's earned its money. Fair play.